27:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. Are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title IV says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
Hey everybody, welcome to Thursday Night CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I am your host, CPS Punisher. And hey, remember to like, subscribe, do all those things that we can do on these YouTube channels. If you're on Facebook watching this, do those things. Let's try to get the word out there. The more that you guys like, subscribe, and all of those good things, push the little bell notice to get notifications when we're on, when we're not. Because we've got a lot of things that are up and coming too. We're going to start doing one-on-one interviews with people. There's a lot more things that are coming. So you're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed so that you know what's going on and when we're on live. And we're trying to get some other shows going. We're going to get Melissa's show going. We've been attempting to. It's just we'll get it locked down. So you're going to want to make sure that you want to sign up for those notifications also. Guys, I hope CPS has been out of your lives. I hope that you guys are implementing and listening to what we have to say. Also, none of us are lawyers here. So make sure that you look into what we say. I mean, we're not going to steer you the wrong way. But just make sure you research this stuff before you go trying to use it yourselves. We don't want to be responsible for you guys going and doing something wrong or wrong information. So please make sure anything that you use that we talk about, that you research. You know, there's a lot of groups out there that are out to help you out. You know, you have the American with Disabilities Act, you know, the association. There's all kinds of groups such as that. But we also have the National Action News Network that is out there, and they are striving to help people, and they're just getting new into the CPS worm as well. And we have Cheryl with us tonight from National Action News. Cheryl, how are we, honey? How we doing?
Oh, where hear me?
We can hear you, Cheryl. Yep.
So that's National Action Network.
Oh, that's what I meant. National Action Network. I'm sorry. Look at I even did this nice little copy of your guys' logo today. I couldn't do it exactly, but I did this little guy here so we can show you on the screen. We'll do this. Look at that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I saw that.
That's just for you guys. Cheryl, you want to tell everybody what you guys are about? I'm going to bring everybody else out too. I'll bring Herbert and Charles and Melissa out. But you want to tell everybody a little bit what you guys are doing and what fights you guys have going on?
So we work on a lot of civil rights cases, and a lot of crisis calls come our way. And so we just help with different things. And for the last year and a half, so we've been working on a lot of DCS cases. And so my biggest thing that we're looking to do now is to just start getting advocacy out here in the streets, going to make sure that these children are being safe when they're inside of these foster homes, make sure DCS is working and trying to get these families back together, because unseen is unknown. And if no one's paying attention to what's going on, and then they can drag this out as long as they can. And so we are trying to get where we have our first class will be May 18th. And we're partnering with some more organizations that's getting together with a lot of people to be a part of this advocacy class.
Cheryl,
yeah.
Is there a place that you guys have that people can sign up for that class, or is that just for your guys' own?
So I'm waiting for so the lady that's gonna be doing this training she's out of California, and they're working on getting a link and everything together that's gonna last long, because I think it's like a 4 or 5 hour training. And so they're going to be working on the link and everything to put together, because I have people from outside of Tennessee that wants to be a part of this advocacy training. And then once we finish, they'll give us some certificates. So when we go into these DCS office, we'll let them know that we are part of the state that's working and want to do this work.
Now, what are some of the things that you guys will be working on in that training, Cheryl?
So she just gave us a rundown. It's going to be learning how to deal with the Department of Children's Service, us working together with them to let them know what our job is going to be. And that's going to be, again, just making sure, like when children are taken out of the home, we want to make sure that they're being taken out for good reason, and not because somebody called and you haven't verified anything. Because that's what a lot of conversations that we've heard, that somebody got mad and called DCS and told DCS that something happened, and they come to the house or go to the kids' school and just take the kids out and did no investigation or anything. Then you taking years to clear your name, and then all they say is, oops, I'm sorry. So we want to try to stop that at the front door before that even happens. And so we're just going to be doing a lot of strategy and finding out what do we need to do, and how do we get the message out to the people that we are now going to be a part, and I want us to be an agency. I want us to be a licensed agency that we're able to do this, because there's already an advocacy group that's out there. I met one of the lady and she gave me a link, but I don't know that link. And so they already have people to do that. But once they get into it, and then they side with whatever the states tell them to do. So we want to go in and do something different and work for the families. Because if you read their headline, that's basically what they're saying, is that we do everything we can to get families back together. And I haven't seen that yet.
Right. Well, there's only a 12% chance that you get reunified. That's with their own statistics. And if you do the math, they reunify 12% of the families that they dismantle. And I forget who it was that was speaking with us at one of our other shows. They actually went so far as to say that was the those numbers reflected probably the federal numbers that they require to be released. And, you know, like to say so many whites, so many blacks, so many Hispanics are returned to their home, because 12% out of 500,000 isn't a lot at all. We need to definitely get those numbers up, and we need to figure out how. And I think with doing what you're doing, when you put advocates around, you know, you're getting more people out, you're getting more boots on the ground, and coming up and saying to politicians and lawmakers and such things like that, and saying, look, why are these families not getting back together? Because reunification is supposed to be the goal on all of these fronts.
Right. So, you know, I'll go back again to the case that we had with the family, with the husband and wife and their 5 children, coming from Atlanta on their way to Chicago to go to a funeral, and they were stopped in Tennessee. But you know what they did to that family was not right. They had no right to do what they did. But the first thing that they kept asking them is, do you have family? And no. They said, do you have friends? Do you have anybody here? And they said no. They didn't know anybody in this state, because they was from Georgia and they were on their way to Illinois. And when they said that, it was like, okay, we'll do to them, because no one in Tennessee is going to help them. But then when they called us and we got the call, and we rally up the troops, and everybody got them down to this little town that you know, where you call when the sun come down, city. And when we all came down there, we were in the they wouldn't let us in the courtroom. They was like, come in the courtroom as people that have that, well, can we go in this room? And we went in the room, but it was like 40 of us that came from Nashville, and some came from Memphis, and and then from that town. When we got there, most of the people was from that town too. But because the pressure and what we did and how big it was, that judge was like, look, let the people go. Let them go back to Atlanta. We don't want nothing to do with this. But that's because everybody was a part of it, and we went in there and we will not let up until they got off that family and gave those children back.
Wow. So you guys were successful in that one. That's a success story. That was a real hunt for justice right there.
Took us 56 days, but they took all of the kids. One family had all 5 of the children, and then she was like, well, I can't keep all of these kids, so we're gonna have to split them up. And so they were like, was gonna start splitting all those babies up. Now the oldest was 7 and the youngest was 3 months. And so I was like, hey, and I took all 5 of them, because first of all, you got them in a strange town, and you about to split all of them up where they all only know each other. And I was like, no, I can't do that. But see, that's what community do. That's how you step up and say, and I kept them with me until we got them back home. So I just think
that's crazy. That's crazy, because what we're not seeing enough of this pressure put on these people so that they are returning the kids. I think that they're just going ahead and doing whatever they feel like they can do to hold on, so that they are getting the milestones that they need to get to the 3 to the 6 to the 9 to the 12 months, so that they get allocated funds by our federal government, where you guys don't give a hell about that. All you care about is getting these freaking kids home. That's it.
That's it. And you know, a lot of people, some people think that they can handle this by themselves, and they don't tell anyone, and no one knows what's going on. And then when they do come out and start asking for help, it's like too, you know, they've been in there for a while and all kinds of stuff. So I say, when it first happened, reach out for help. As many people as you can, reach out for help. Go sit in the courtrooms where those judges are making those children. Sit in there and let them know, I'm watching you. I see what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there numbers that people can get a hold of you guys nationally? Like, I know that each individual, like I know that you're the National Action Network for, was it Middle Tennessee, right?
Yes.
Is there numbers? Is there a national number, or do they need to get their local area number?
I'm gonna get you the national number.
Okay.
See, I don't know all these numbers by heart, so I have to get them out of my head. Hold on. But yeah, we have to. When we put these people in office, we have to know exactly who we're putting in these office. We have to know about everybody. We can't just keep electing these people and never holding them accountable for anything.
Right. And people need to know that there's places like you that will help people. You're not trying to hurt. You're not trying to do anything. But you know, like, is there fees involved with services if you guys help out? How does that work?
No, we don't have any fees. We don't do anything. We just get you to an attorney, and let the attorney know what's going on, and then they take it from there. But we do everything we can to get you to the right place and the right people.
That's good stuff.
The national number is 877 626 4651, and that's the national number for the National Action Network.
Okay. And if people call there, what do they say? They say that they need assistance in something? What goes on with that?
So they'll ask you how can they help you, and then you'll tell them what's going on, and then it depends on what state you're in, and then they'll reach out to wherever state you're in. They'll reach out to those chapters and let them know what's going on, and then they'll take it from there. Or if there's no chapter there, then the national will work with you. And we have a legal night that we do it every fourth Thursday of the month, and that's the national have a team of attorneys that's on virtual and in person. And they'll people will get on the line and they tell them what's going on, and then they'll hear what's going on with them, and then know if there's attorneys in that office or people in those areas where they can connect them with.
That's every fourth Thursday, you said?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yep.
Is there a way? Is that for anybody as well, or is that for? How does that
That's
work?
for anyone that needs that assistance. I'm gonna send you the flyer. I'm gonna send this flyer to Melissa, and she can send that. How the legal night that we have every fourth Thursday.
Perfect. Hey, Charles, what do you think of groups like this that are out there trying to help out in the courtrooms like this and help with these victims and you know, and how do you feel personally about advocates working side by side with lawyers?
Oh, they have to. I mean, it's you know, the lawyers run the system, and a lot of people simply cannot speak for themselves. So, you know, that is the way the system is set up. And I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of the same problem as you get with for public defenders, basically in criminal context. I mean, sometimes it feels like they're supporting the system, and I mean, I don't know Nan. I don't want to prejudge anything she's saying, and I mean, she sounds great. I mean, obviously, I'm in favor of anybody who's trying to reform or challenge the system. I just hope that they really do challenge it. And I mean, I guess, I can't help but hear things like when she says, that she hopes that people who are being taken really deserve to be taken. And I guess my thought is the whole system is wrong, and it really the government should not be taking children, period.
So and sometimes some cases it really is true, and it's more true than it is not. But I did have a lady, and she called me and she was really upset, and she said they took her children away and they shouldn't have taken her kids, and was 4 of them. And I told her I would meet her and talk with her and see what's going on. And I thank God that those children were very well abused, very well malnourished, and no one knew what was going on. But the neighbors, they kept calling and they kept calling, and they said they hear the children screaming and being beaten and all kinds of stuff. And but the lady called me and said that they came and took her kids and they shouldn't have taken her children. But when I got over there, and it was actually true, and it was the kid's dad, and the stepmom was beating the children, and it was awful.
Let me ask you something, then.
Yes.
In an ideal world, let's not talk about the real world, but let's talk about the ideal world for a minute. Should it be the government or people's neighbors?
You say what?
Not in the real world, but in an ideal world, is it best for government to intervene, or should the neighbors who hear the children screaming be the ones who intervene? Should we be our brother's keeper?
So if the neighbors intervene and they know that something has happened to these children, and they go on and get the children, then what happens from there? What if they're senior citizens and they can't take care of all of the children themselves? I had a lady live next door to me, and she had custody. The state gave her 2 grandsons, but she was on a fixed income, which she retired, and she wasn't getting a lot of money. She just made enough to take care of herself. Now she had 2 teenage kids that she had to take care of, and she couldn't do it. So she had to move from her house and go move into a 2-bedroom apartment because the state wasn't helping her. No one gave her any money, but they placed those children. And when they place children with family, then they say, well, you're kin, so we don't have to give you any money. So, I mean, they're in trouble both ways. So now this lady was 87 years old, and she had lived all of her life taking care of herself. Now she had her grandchildren, and no one helped her. So what do she do? So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not. I mean, we can hurt the children and we can help the children. So what do we do?
Well, I guess it's just a matter of the expectations, because I'd say if one neighbor starts to help, I mean, what I would see happening is that if you had a culture that mandated that people help each other, instead of everyone depending on the government to step in and help, then if it became too difficult for the first person who volunteered to to take care of, and then someone else in the neighborhood. I mean, there's this expression: "It takes a village." What does that really mean? That means that people should be able to depend on each other the way they do in old-fashioned villages. There's no tradition of government intervention in most societies. It's all about if you see some parents who aren't taking proper care of their children, you might offer the neighbors might offer to take them. Somebody's an alcoholic, somebody's a drunk, somebody a husband abandons his wife. People should stand in and stand up and step in as individuals, not because basically even in the most extreme cases, the government can't be anything other than a soulless bureaucracy. And I mean, I feel like that's really our biggest problem is we are so dependent on the government right now. We expect the government to solve all problems, but that's where this whole concept of trafficking comes in. The government ends up being basically a middleman for moving kids around from one place to another.
So I want to show you this. You see this young lady right here?
Yes, I do.
So that's my daughter. I got her.
I don't see it. Put it up again.
Hold on.
I can't see it.
You've got a very beautiful.
Hold on. Okay, my camera not coming back on.
Yes, it is. But it's not showing her.
Oh, there you go.
You can see. You guys can see something?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I don't see anything. I say you.
There's a beautiful young lady in a red T-shirt, and I can't read what it says on it backwards.
She said, "I don't need your attitude. I have one of my own." That's what her shirt say. But I showed you that because that's my daughter, and I got her when she was 6 years old. She came to me, her and her little sister, and they lived across the street from me. And the mother said to DCS, "Can you please not take them away? Can you give them to my neighbor across the street?" They knocked on my door and said, and this was on a Friday, and they said on Monday, we have to figure out what we're gonna do with these two young ladies. And they asked if I would take them. I got off of work, came home, and on Monday morning, they brought a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old to my house. The lady said it's gonna be 30 days until we figure out what we're gonna do, because the mother can no longer get them, and the grandmother and the aunts is not allowed to have them. I was like, okay, 30 days? They said yes. Well, my baby is 17 years old now. Wow. So she was 6 when I got her, and she's 17 now, and that 30 days haven't got here yet. But when I read her files and found out what was actually happened, I said that she will never, ever go anywhere else. She will be with me until she get grown and leave on her own. And her little sister, one of my best friends, she was 32 and she never had children. She had the space, had everything to take care of her, and she got her and she adopted her. And so I adopted mine and she adopted her sister, and both of them are beautiful young ladies.
Well, I mean, that's a happy story. That's a very happy story, and congratulations.
So that's the neighborhood taking care of the neighborhood. And if we had a lot of neighborhoods that would do stuff like that, then our children would be better off. But what people don't realize, what people do not realize, is that these kids have to grow up. And when they grow up, they're going to grow up angry, they're going to grow up hurt, and they're going to grow up mad. And us We're the ones gonna have to pay. We're gonna have to pay.
Well, and Cheryl, I know you didn't watch the show the other night, but we had a kid on here named Chris, and Chris actually did some time in prison and everything. He was a foster kid.
Yes.
And like he says, what they teach you being in the system is how to be the next druggie, the next thief, the next prisoner.
Thank you, Melissa. That is absolutely true. Because soon as these kids get into the system, the first thing they do is put them on medicine. And if they put them on pills, that means they on level 1, 2, 3. And the highest is 3. And once they're on this high, as high as they can get, that's the most money they're gonna get. And that's for that family, and that's for that state. And they put our kids on this medicine. And then when they age out, now they don't have the money, they don't have the medicine. They're busting people in the head, breaking cars, stealing guns, robbing people, killing people, because now they have to fix this habit that the state put up on them. And then everybody look at all of these, say they thugs, they thieves, we scared of them, we dangerous, but this is what the system created. And here we are.
Right. The system created the neighborhood crackhead.
That's right. Now, what are we going to do? Because no one get them help. No one get them no kind of therapy. The therapists they're not actually therapists. No one's doing anything because nobody's holding them accountable. They just giving money and nobody have anything doing. They're not doing anything. So our kids is out here growing up to be an adult. And then now we got more in prison because of what the system did to them than we have in the church house. And that's fact.
How many kids do you think that you guys have assisted in the DHS, DCS, or whatever they want to call the alphabet agency that took them? But how many families or children have you helped in the reunification process, would you say?
Oh, wow. It's been a lot. I've helped to get back to, if it wasn't with the parents, with family members. I think, I don't even remember. I can't even count because it's like families, single ones, a lot of them. But I
more than enough that you don't have to count anymore. You've rolled that one over.
Huh?
I said more than enough that counting you don't need to count anymore. It's it's plenty, a lot. It's not like you've just done 1 or 2 cases here.
Yeah, and it's just because I'm really sympathetic when it comes to our children. I don't like when people hurt children, and when I see it, I fight hard for them.
Right.
And I have a team of people that works with us, and then some of them, like, I mean, it's nothing we can do. We can't even help. And then some people, it's just like their life is so messed up and so torn up that, I mean, I can't fight hard for you.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but our children are in trouble. That's a fact.
No, our children are definitely, and that's the thing too, is everybody, like, we forget about it. We get so much of us involved with our parents, like that our parents were like, not boo-hoo is us as parents, but like, yeah, us, we've been feeling the repercussions of all this stuff. The kids are the ones that are the victims here. The kids, not only have they been victims in their own home, but now they've been put into these other situations where now they've become the victim again. And most of these situations, we're sending them into an abuser's home. It's crazy how this is going on, and there's so little regard paid for the child, it seems like, and it's so much because maybe it's because the parents are barking loud. Maybe that's what it is. Like our argument is becoming louder than the voice of the kids, but somehow we need to get back to the point that the kids are the ones that are the victims in all of this. It has nothing to do with us parents or whatever. It's these children.
Yeah, and then you got all of these people sitting on these benches and sitting in these systems and sitting at these desks and making decisions about children and their family, and they don't even know anything about them. But you come in my house and tell me, well, I think what's best for the child. What? How you gonna come in my house and tell me what's best for my child that I've been taking care of all of their life, and now because you feel that something ain't right, you want to come in here and say what you feel needs to happen? No.
Right. And just because it's like they got this badge to play God, you know, like you said, they come in there, they make a decision because your sink is full of nasty dishes because, you know, the night before you guys decided to play, you know, Connect Four or something like that before you went to bed and then, you know, do the dishes. So now here comes CPS that morning to do a check on you. You got a sink full of dirty dishes because you're exhausted from playing games with the kids all night, but yet they're removing your kid because you have a sink full of dirty dishes.
But why do you have to explain that? Let's go to your house and see what's in their house.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Why do you have to explain? Because I got a dirty dish in my sink. So, hell, I got dirty dishes in my laundry room. You gonna take my kids because the clothes is dirty in the laundry? I've worked all night. I don't feel like cleaning up. You gonna take my kids because of that? Come on, they gotta
but you know, the worst thing about it is the kids that really are being beat and raped and prostituted and traded for drugs in the street. Those are the kids that aren't even getting help from the system, or they are the ones that are in the system.
Yeah, but them are the ones that turned them that way. That's doing that to them. They just had what is that? They just had what is it? Child abuse week. And they had a special and all that on for child. What do you mean child abuse week? Who's abusing the children? Let's figure out who's really abusing the children. And then let's have that kind of week.
The other thing is who, you know, let's go talk about this, what's going on in the news, right? You have all this P. Diddy stuff that's going on. And yes, you know, the Hollywood has had their hands tied in the child abuse and neglect thing for a long time. Absolutely. But here's where my problem is now this has just allotted a shift in this, in the eyes to go look at Hollywood now as the main player in the child trafficking game. And they're like, oh, I knew it was Hollywood. But we all know it's not Hollywood. They've just, you know, like they just weren't able to give a cover. For a moment, we thought, oh, wow, we're going to break through here. We've got a moment. We got, I guess, pseudo-celebrities or celebrities coming out. And you would think that some of them would come out on the behalf of these children and this stuff. And they haven't, obviously. But here's the other thing is now the government gets to have their, you know, 5-minute break because now it's not the responsibility of the government. Now this is all about Hollywood, and this is the wrong thing. This is a wrong way for people to turn around and look at this. These kids get taken from their homes by our government. The people that they hire, the people that they put into the place to play God. It's not the Hollywood guys. It's not P. Diddy. It's not any of them. They're not out kidnapping these kids. Where do these kids come from? That's the question. You know, and we can't have it turned around like this.
They already knew the government, the system, everybody know. They already know who hurting these children. That's nothing new. It's just that they got caught, they got busted, and now they want to put it all on the news and talk about it now. Like the Weinstein and his girlfriend, bringing all these children on private jets and taking them to be molested, and all these folks knew what was going on. You got all of these big name, big people out there. They knew what was going on. But our children is just, we have them and the government owns them. That's what I think that's happening.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought I interrupted somebody. The whole what does the National Action Network do to promote this this level of representation and this level of education and all of that? What are some avenues, and how are you guys spreading the word about this?
Spreading the word about what?
About your courses for the advocacy, about CPS, who CPS is, like the whole topic in a whole. What are you guys? How are you trying to spread the word? Because see, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Because here's my thing: is by the time people get this message and CPS is already in their life, it's too late. They've already lost. Like they've gotten too many things against them now, because they weren't paying attention to steps 1 through 3. They're jumping in now. They're like, people won't watch this because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch this show because I'm never going to have to deal with Child Protective Services.
That's
Lo and
right.
behold, had they watched this show or those like it, like the Wicked Warriors show, like Vincent Davis's show, if they'd watch these things and learn, they wouldn't have to they wouldn't have to be in the position that they're in. So what I mean by that question I asked you was, what is it that you guys are doing to try to increase the education, the spread of the word of this and all of that, to try to include people that are not involved in this CPS situation as of now?
So because it has gotten so noticeable now, we do a lot of virtual workshops. We do conversation about it. We have, like, for the AVIC class that we're doing, we have flyers going around, and it's by word of mouth, and we just keeping it going and keeping it out there. And I just talked to another lady, and I was telling her that I want to do, so we're going to be doing here in Nashville a legal night also, and we're going to start doing it once a month. And the attorneys that I work with, they wanted to do something every 2 weeks or something like that, just to keep it going and keeping it going and keep talking about it. And it's just not only for DCS, it's just for attorneys, letting the public know. I got some judges that I will be doing a workshop with the judges so they could come out and talk to the community about different things. So we do a lot of those workshops and virtual and in person, and because my whole thing is just resources, just educating people about what's happening. And so now that the just DCS is so bad now and aware of it, don't think it won't happen to you. Don't think they won't knock on your door. If you have children, grandchildren, they can knock on your door for any reason. And then here you go, have to deal with a lie, or you have to deal with a situation, or you have to deal with something. So, and our children that's growing up now, they don't understand this. Nobody's playing with you. When you have children, if you don't want them, already have someone in place to give them to. If you do want them, make sure you take care of them, because they looking for these children.
Right. Now, here's another question I have for you. Do you have anything in place to help them with the protection of the kids that are missing? Do you guys do anything towards that? Like, there's, so many missing kids in each state. I think like Maine was 845 between foster care and permanency and an adoption or whatever. They have like Maine's like 850 or 875 kids just this past year, and each state averages in between 500 and 1,500 kids missing per year that there's nobody looking for or going after. That's a substantial amount of kids every year that have just vanished off this earth. Do you guys have anything that you use as a tool to educate or prevent any of those situations?
We don't have, because I haven't gotten to that part yet and figured out how to. No, I really don't. We haven't got to that part at all. But I know every time you look around, these children end up missing. I think they somewhere underground, or I think they somewhere inside of these warehouses. I think they somewhere, because the kid just don't walk away and disappear and nobody knows anything. They got a big old eye in the sky. Somebody knows something. Someone knows something
Well,
somewhere.
down here, the quote runaway kids, the ones that get trafficked, they get sent down to South Florida and stuff. They had a bunch of Alabama foster kids killed down there in a trafficking ring.
See there?
And these were what we would call milk carton kids here in Alabama. They were marked missing, but it came to light that DHR here in Alabama pretty much sold them to a sex trafficker, which took them down to South Florida.
So it
made the news and everything.
You know, when it first got started.
What did they do? What did they do? I mean, that's an amazing story, and you tell it deadpan as if it's sort of routine. I mean,
but it is.
Well, did nobody, if they knew where they were taken, did anyone try to get them back? Did anyone investigate them?
No one knew where they was taken until they wound up dead. But through lawsuits and wrongful death suits and all that other stuff, it come to light that even though Alabama marked them missing because they, quote, lost them, that Alabama was the ones who actually sent them down there.
Okay, and why?
Because they couldn't do nothing with them. They were a level 4 in our state, which is the worst. And they were sent down there. And there was that's kind of just what they do. If they have teenage kids that they can't control, they push for them to run away. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have people to kidnap them. Because all of a sudden they just disappear.
That's just like I went over to the DA office to talk about one of the cases that we've been working on. When I went in there, after the DA left out, and then his assistant, he came and he was like, "I want y'all to come go with me." And we walked back with him. And when we got back there, he was like, "I know I saw this case. This case is in this office somewhere, and I got to find it because I know I heard about this case." And he kept on, and he went on his computer, and he did everything. But while he was looking for it, he had like 5 boxes of envelopes sitting right there on the floor, and the whole box was full. And he said, "These are cases that hadn't been solved. And this lady had 10 children, and 5 of her children are missing, and no one knows where her child is. Her children are." And they said, and 2 years old, go ahead, eat them, was 2, and he was in the foster care, and the foster mother took the baby's hands and dipped them in scalding hot water. And it's open. And then another kid in the foster house was raped, and that case is open. So all of these files just sitting in the office. I said, "Well, what are you all doing with them?" He said, "We don't have enough help in these cases." I said, "So you know what's happening and who did it? These cases just sitting here because there's no help, and these children that's suffering." Yeah. That's it. Well, I want to come in here and help you get these cases solved. This is bad. But these children, the case that I was working with, their case was November January of 23, and that case been sitting in their office ever since then. And they just pulling it up when we went in there asking about it. So it's like it's not a factor to anyone anymore. So, but I said
what?
Those,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, you. They hear my mouth all the time.
Oh, I'm good. I was just saying that those are the reason why some of these children are suffering at the hands of adults that make bad decisions for them, and I just don't know. Just keep fighting. And start getting agents from all over, everywhere, and start working hard for them.
So speaking of kids suffering, I did a little reviewing into a case that had occurred down here a couple years ago. Now, the director that handled my case was actually the director at the time, and the attorney for the department at that time is now actually my judge, my asshole judge. But this was a case where a 18-month-old was removed and then beaten to death in a foster home right here in this county. And it ended up being a big wrongful death suit. But I was talking to the chief, who I know very well. I bought my house off his family. And he was, because I actually was straight out asking him questions about the department here. You know, how do they work? What are they doing? Why are they such assholes? You know, how come Judge Hyde's such a dick? And, you know, that's the way I talk to Daryl, because I know him well enough to talk to him that way. And he says he doesn't understand why Judge Hyde acts the way he does. But he says there's been many a times where he's literally walked in and caught kids damn near being tortured, and the department won't come out. They absolutely refuse, won't come out, won't investigate, won't nothing. But he remembers the case of the 18-month-old, and he said that was actually a nice, upstanding family in town. And the father ended up killing himself over that.
I imagine.
That was his firstborn child, and he ended up committing suicide right after that. Because he felt that it was him. They pointed the finger at him as if he was a bad guy, when there was actually no harm, no abuse, no nothing. So Daryl says that he's never understood the system around here because they won't help the starving, abused kids. They only help the kids that don't need helping.
Well, look at the case that I'm working on now. These children been in foster care for 6 years. 6 years. And the hospital here, Vanderbilt, have documents that these children has been beaten, raped, and starved to death. And was in the hospital with over 10 nutrition. And the judge knew it. The judge had the foster family to sign a document saying that they will feed these children and will not abuse the children anymore, that they won't harm the kid. How would a judge have somebody to sign something to say? And then when I go and get the paperwork, find out that this family has been investigated 18 times for child abuse at that house. And no one they did not remove the children until we called the police to the school this year, and went to the school and their check, and then they removed the kids from the house. So I mean, it just depends. And then everybody call this judge their favorite judge. Oh, we love her. She is remarkable. Yeah, right. So.
Yeah, everybody's got their favorites, right? Until their favorite doesn't go in their favor, then that whole mindset changes. But we can't. Oh, go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
So Cheryl, have you put more thought into? Remember how we were talking about doing surveys amongst the families?
Yes. Yes, I want to do that. I want to get them all together, because it'll be a whole lot of them, and just bring them all together and let's have some type of workshop, something, and just give them information, even the ones that haven't been in the system, and want to know what they need to do to keep their family safe. I just want to do something really big to start informing people. what their rights are, what they need to know, what they have to do. Yes, that survey will be excellent, and that's a start off.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to figure out where, I guess you can say, the CPS victims, fit into the niche, to see if there is enough there to start grouping them together in a way that can start some kind of action.
Hey, Charles, what do you think
Yes.
about I mean, we can start somewhere, and I was talking to Melissa about us starting with people filing lawsuits against the governor about when they say that the children has to be returned, or that's their whole focus is to get them back home, if not with the parents, with family, and they're not doing that.
What's the question? I mean, what do I think about suing governors for that?
So going after the government because that's what's in their state policies. That the whole thing is to have these kids be back with their families, going back with families. And every DCS rule books, their policies, their paperwork, the first thing they say is that their mission, their goal is to get these kids back home.
You've heard at least one or two lawyer jokes in your day, haven't you?
Okay, tell me one.
They're not jokes, they're all true.
How can you tell when a lawyer is lying?
Because they are liars.
His mouth is moving.
Yes. Who formulates the actual CPS policy?
A liar.
Lawyer. It is, and it has always been a lie that CPS is about is CPS or any of these welfare services mandated by Title 42 are for reunification. The purpose always has been to break down the family by promoting dependency on the government. That is the absolute fact and truth. Everything in the government that talks about security and safety promotes insecurity and the chaos, basically the lack of safety, because the government is powerful. It increases its power and influence in direct proportion to the dependency of the people. And so if they're promising, if the lawyers who draft this are promising that the priority is unification, then you are guaranteed that there is a plan afoot to take all children away, and if they return any children at all to the family, it's basically throwing the people a bone. The people who are most persistent or richest might get their children back. But no, the ever since I keep going back to the Communist Manifesto published in February of 1848, that has been basically the wellspring of all major social change for the past 150, 160, I can't even count.
Almost 170 years.
176 years. Yep. Because it would be 2020 would have been 170 years, and add 2, 176 years.
Wow.
176 years in England, France, Germany, United States. The United States, up to a point, has led the way in certain ways, and that is the reality. The program of the Communist Manifesto is to abolish private property, the family, private property, and the so-called bourgeois state. And they're almost there. I mean, the halfway mark was the creation of the Federal Reserve and the income tax, which is now over 100 years old. And those were the two first planks of the communist platform of the Communist Manifesto. And the abolition of the family has been much more difficult because, well, people are very attached to their physical relatives and to the form of life that we call home. But no, I mean, yes, you can. You can sue, I guess, but everyone's going to say, "Oh, this is an insane conspiracy theory." You're just some sort of raving lunatic, John Bircher. If you're talking about communism all the time, you don't believe in progress. No, we prefer families. We prefer families who live in homes. We prefer children who stay with their parents. And the government is not the best judge of fitness. Our neighbors are, and that's just that. I mean, I have a good friend who's a very successful real estate lawyer in Atlanta. I keep talking about him. His name is Sam Dixon, and he says that we need a revolution in this country because the lies and the perversion of the court system is basically limited, and the judicial system is nothing but lies and an instrument of the government implementing the Communist Manifesto. That's my answer. We can try policy lawsuits all we want, but as long as the government is in the hands of the people who know that they can maximize their power by dependency, these suits are going to be perceived as, well, let's see, what did Greg Abbott say about me in Texas? It's all paper terrorism. That's what Governor Greg Abbott of Texas said about me 20 years ago. Most dangerous paper terrorism in North America, because I said that the family courts and the Texas Family Code violated the Constitution.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to ask you about that, Charles. Sorry for interrupting, but the constitutions, and I've read somewhere that so the district courts and the superior court believe that they don't have to abide by the rules of the Constitution. Her stuff, so
you're kind of muttering. Can you talk?
I'd rather go back to it says.
Can you talk into the microphone a little bit better?
Yes, into the microphone.
You're muttering. I can't read your lips here either because you're looking down.
No, I'm looking down. Right. No, I was looking down at my notes. You couldn't hear me though?
I did not. Please. But you said something about Constitution and the district courts.
Yeah. So the Constitution of the United States, and we hear in district courts all the time that they're not allowing us to use the Constitution because that's a federal thing. But can you use your state's courts, your state's Constitution in lieu of the Constitution and then force them to actually use that information?
Absolutely. I mean, most state constitutions are actually written more forcefully and with stronger language on protection of rights than the federal Constitution. You can use it, but getting them to pay any attention to it is a separate issue. I mean, that's politics, whether they pay any attention to it or not. But yes, I mean, I haven't studied the Constitution of either Alabama or Maine, but I have actually studied the Constitution of Florida, and for that matter, also of Tennessee. And Florida and Tennessee do both have superior Article 1, which are the Articles 1, which is the Declaration of Rights, equivalent of the state equivalent of the Bill of Rights, that are better than the federal Constitution. And so, yes, you can assert these rights, but as a matter of fact, you're talking about the application of the U.S. Constitution in the states. The 14th Amendment has been widely construed by the U.S. Supreme Court to incorporate the provisions of the Bill of Rights to the states. The 14th Amendment was enacted in 1868, and it is all about standardizing the protection of rights among the states. And so basically, the Bill of Rights in the federal Constitution is the floor. It's the absolute minimum that the states can provide in terms of constitutional protection of constitutional rights. And the states are free to elaborate on that, but they cannot sink below it.
Mm.
So,
I
yes,
don't understand why they have.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I
Know why they have laws and then they don't abide by their own laws, and it only works when it convenience for them.
Well, again, that's why my friend Sam Dixon constantly talks about revolution.
Can y'all hear me?
Revolution that will be bloodier than France 1792 or Russia 19.
Can you hear me now?
Well, guys, we are at our time. God, it goes so fast for that show every freaking time. Here we go. We're at that part of the show where we're at the last words. Cheryl, do you want to say anything last before we get loose out of here?
Did I lose y'all?
I'm here.
Hey, Cheryl, what was your question? I think Cheryl's having some technical difficulty.
Yes, it seems like so. What about you, Melissa? You got any last words?
No. Everyone should keep fighting. Hey, Darren, I texted you over a copy of the flyer.
Okay, cool.
So you could upload it to the website.
Yep. Okay, perfect. That's abolishcps.com too, by the way.
And I think that if everyone just starts working together and more people just start, putting out a good fight and being heard, sooner or later someone's going to pay attention. Yep. Like they say, squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Right. Oh Jesus, I forget what that one saying was. You get more bees from which I don't remember. You get
more bees from honey than vinegar.
No, what was it that one time though? Remember, you get more bees from brake oil or something, or from brakes. I don't remember what it was, but it was funny. I thought I had it at the tip of my tongue, but apparently I do not.
More bees from honey than vinegar is what I know.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know this other one. I thought this was it, and I just looked at it, and it wasn't. So, bummer. I'll keep my quest on to find that quote that we came up with. What about you, Charles, for last words?
Well, I want to remind everybody, speaking of revolution, to remember our heritage. Today is the 18th of April. I would ask everybody to look up a poem that I was required to memorize in my family home, Paul Revere's Ride. Tonight, 249 years ago, next year will be 250 years since the beginning of the American Revolution. This is 249 years since tomorrow is the 249th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord. We had a very kind and gentle revolution here in the United States. but that's because basically England was a free country, and we were very accustomed to English freedoms, and we need to restore those English freedoms now, and they've been lost, in favor of communism, and that is the biggest thing. We need to keep an eye on the ideals of the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and I'm not sure about the ideals of the Russian Revolution, because their ideals were communist, but their methods were very effective for removing a rotten, corrupt monarchical regime, which is very closely analogous to the court system in the United States. There is nothing significantly worse about the Tsar Nicholas and Rasputin than the typical judge and typical court in the family courts of the United States. They need to be eliminated.
All right, eliminated. Herbert, you here somewhere, buddy? Oh, there we go. There's Herbert.
My comments for you to read some of the comments that people are making on the side of the page.
Well, I thought we decided that was your job.
I can't see it. I can't see it. You can see it better than me.
Okay. Let's see. Brenda. Let's see.
I see a lot of people making comments.
Well, I see Brenda making a lot of comments. Let's see here. The FBI probably messing with my phone all day, been giving me trouble. That is facts. They do mess with our newscasts. They mess with all of our stuff. I don't care what anybody says. They can call me a cracker or whatever they want to say I am. But I'll tell you right now that they do mess with our stuff. They are listening to our phone calls and our television programs. They are gang stalking those that are involved in CPS programs, all of that stuff. So, if your gut's telling you it's happening, then it's definitely happening. She also says, let's see, they're here, and then she got the rest of them from earlier, but that was really the most that was relevant to now. I mean, I'm not going to answer everything that we can, but we're going to do the best we can with the comments there, Herbert. So if you need to call one out, please, buddy, feel free, because I might miss one from here and there. But Brenda, thank you very much for leaving the comments. I don't know what happened to you, and AIM, I appreciate that as well. So keep doing those things. Was that all you had to say there, Herbert?
Yes, I just wanted to reserve what I had to say to give those people on the side, which I can't see. You used to have it where I could see it big, but it's very tiny. I can't read it.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yep, very tiny.
All right. Well, guys.
Hey, I think Cheryl made it back in with us.
Cheryl, you back?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yes. Cheryl, do you have any last words for tonight?
No, I just want people to try to find out where your resources are in your state, get the help that you need, and wake up and look for another day to fight another fight.
Oh, thank you so much for being there and doing that. And guys, the number for I just had it here for you. The number for you guys to get in touch with Cheryl, or not Cheryl, but anybody for the National Action Network is right here. It's 877-626-4651. Again, 877-626-4651, and you can get in touch with her. All right, guys, thank you so much for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night for Connie Reguli. Friday, she'll be here tomorrow night. And who else will be on this panel? We don't know, because we figure it out that day too. Yeah. All right, guys, have a good night.
Okay, take care.
All right, guys. See, so if you have problems and you need to get a hold of National Action Network, again, that number is 877-626-4651. Cheryl's an awesome lady. I love having her on. She's so full of resources, and she's so full of good information, and she's trying to help everybody, and she's awesome at doing it. So, you know what? That's going to be it for me tonight. Don't forget, again, like I said, like, subscribe, do all that stuff for us, because that helps with all of the all of the passing along that we're on this show. And tomorrow night again, Connie Reguli is on Connie Fridays. Let's see what's going on today. Have a good night. Don't forget, like and subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications. And tomorrow night,